Level 1, the Chimpira. You are 16. You live in the Nishinari ward of Osaka in the spring of 1985. Japan's economy is climbing a slope nobody can see the top of yet. Land prices in the city center have tripled in 4 years, and men in new suits are buying buildings with money that seems to appear from nowhere. Your father is a day laborer. He lines up at the same corner every morning at 5 a.m. with 60 other men, hoping a truck stops for him. Some mornings it does not. You drop out of middle school at 14. You spend your afternoons outside a pachinko parlor run by a man named Hiroshi, who wears a watch that costs more than your father earns a year. One evening, he asks you to carry a folded newspaper to an address 6 blocks away. Not to open it, not to look inside. You walk the 6 blocks, hand it over, and walk back. He gives you 2,000 yen. Your father makes 8,000 yen on a good week. This is what Chimpira means, small fry, the smallest thing in the water. You are not a member of anything yet. You are being watched to see if you are worth becoming one. You run errands, stand outside doorways, learn to read a room before you're allowed inside it. A boy named Kenji, who runs with the same corner, opens one of the newspapers out of curiosity. Hiroshi does not yell at him. He simply stops handing him envelopes. Kenji goes back to standing on the corner with nothing to carry. You never open anything. By winter, Hiroshi stops explaining the errands before he gives them to you. He just nods toward the door. The nod is the first thing that has felt like being seen since your father stopped bringing home a full wage. Level 2, the Koban. You are 18. Koban means, literally, child role, a sworn subordinate bound to an oyabun, a parent role boss, through a ritual exchange of sake cups that is older than the word Yakuza itself. You are formally initiated into Hiroshi's group in a back room above the pachinko parlor. There is no paperwork. There is a small lacquered table, 2 cups, and 11 other men watching in silence. From this night, you owe the organization absolute loyalty, and it owes you protection and belonging in return. You are assigned to a mid-level enforcer named Tetsuya, who manages a cluster of bars and hostess clubs in Namba. You go everywhere he goes. You stand by the door. You carry nothing you don't understand, and understand nothing you don't need to. Most disputes never need to become physical. A young man standing very still by an exit, visibly unbothered, changes the temperature of a room before anyone raises their voice. You spend the next year learning exactly that stillness. One night, a bar owner 4 weeks behind on his monthly fee raises his voice at Tetsuya. You do not move. You simply straighten your back. The owner looks at you, sits down, and pays in full by the following Tuesday. Tetsuya says nothing about it that night. But your envelope the following week is thicker than usual, with no explanation attached. In this world, an unexplained raise is the loudest form of praise available. Level 3, the Wakamono. You are 21. Wakamono means young person, but inside the organization it marks the first tier of full operational members, men trusted to act without a senior standing over their shoulder. You're given your own small route, 11 bars, 2 coin laundry fronts, and a used car lot near the port, each paying a monthly fee for what is called, without irony, Rio, protection money. You visit each owner once a month, share tea, ask about their children. You're not their friend. You behave like one, because an owner who feels respected pays on time and never goes looking for a rival roof. 2 accounts fall behind in the same month. The first, a ramen shop owner named Ogata, lost a supplier and is short by 11,000 yen. You extend him 10 days. He pays on the 9th, and the extension is available to him again if he ever needs it. The second, a car lot owner named Furukawa, has quietly begun paying a smaller group from Amagasaki instead. This is a different kind of problem entirely. You visit him once. You say very little. By the end of the week, he has sent word that the misunderstanding is resolved and the original arrangement stands. What this level teaches is calibration. Too much pressure and a man breaks or runs. Too little and he tests you again next month. The correct amount, applied consistently, is what makes a wakamono someone the men above him can build on. Before the story goes further, comment what rank you want to see next. Hit that like button right now and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. We upload every single day. Level 4, the Shati. You are 24. Shati means younger brother, the first rank inside the formal brotherhood structure, sworn not just to an individual boss, but to the men beside you, bound as siblings-in-law through the same sake ceremony that once made you a Koban. You're no longer a solitary earner. You now operate as part of a five-man cell inside a larger kumi, coordinating collections, quietly resolving disputes between accounts, and for the first time, being asked to identify and train Chimpira from the neighborhoods where you yourself once stood. You watch for the same things Hiroshi once watched for in you. Who comes back without being asked twice? Who carries a sealed envelope without curiosity? Who processes fear without announcing it? A territorial dispute breaks out over a stretch of Dotonbori nightlife real estate that a rival kumi from Kobe believes it has a historical claim to. It runs for 6 weeks and produces one serious injury on your side, a man's collarbone, broken in a parking structure at 2 a.m. Your immediate senior, a shady wakagashira named Watanabe, resolves it not through further escalation, but through a mediated sit-down brokered by a retired oyabun respected by both sides. The territory is split. Nobody loses face publicly. You watch Watanabe through the entire negotiation, how he concedes on things that cost nothing and holds firm on the 2 points that matter, all without ever raising his voice. The men who last decades in this world are rarely the most feared. They're the most disciplined. Anyone can be frightening for an evening. Almost no one can be composed for 30 years. Level 5, the Kyodai. You are 28. Kyodai means elder brother. You now have Shati of your own reporting to you, and your name is now attached to whatever they do, for better or worse. It is 1991. The land price bubble that has carried the entire country for 6 years has just begun, quietly and then loudly, to come apart. Banks that lent freely against inflated property are suddenly calling in debts nobody expected to owe. A businessman connected to your kumi, who borrowed heavily against a Kobe office tower now worth a third of what he paid, comes to your group not for muscle, but for restructuring help, a service the organization has quietly specialized in as the bubble deflates, brokering settlements between over-leveraged debtors and the banks too embarrassed to admit how badly they'd lent. You manage the negotiation personally for the first time, and it goes well enough that your oyabun notices. 2 years later, in 1992, the government passes the Act on Prevention of Unjust Acts by Organized Crime Group Members, the first law in Japanese history to define and formally target the Yakuza as a category, rather than prosecute individual crimes one at a time. The men in your kumi discuss it for a week. Some dismiss it as paperwork. The older men do not. They have seen the state redraw the rules before, and they know that laws written to be broad tend to widen over time, not narrow. You begin without being told to, keeping less on paper. Level 6, the shady wakagashira. You are 33. You now command roughly 20 men directly. The role changes here from doing to managing. You no longer collect personally, no longer stand in doorways. You design the route, assign the territory, and answer for both when something goes wrong before anyone above you has to ask. Your kumi's income now comes from 4 channels. Maikajime Rio across 41 businesses, a stake in 2 pachinko parlors, a construction dispatch arrangement that quietly supplies day laborers to sites that don't ask questions about paperwork, and a share in a members-only mahjong parlor. A kyodai under your command has been skimming from collections for 9 weeks, small enough each week to look like rounding, unmistakable once totaled. You document it quietly, confirm it through a second source, and bring the numbers, not your opinion, to the kumi's accountant. No raised voice, just dates and figures. The man is not seen at the usual gatherings after that. Your remaining men become visibly more careful with their reporting within days. It is 1999. Word spreads through the kumi that police departments nationwide are forming dedicated anti-Boryokuden units with expanded surveillance authority. Nobody is certain exactly what it will mean day to day. Everyone agrees it means something. The men who survive this world are the ones who read the political weather the way sailors read the sky, long before the storm is visible on the horizon. Level 7, the wakagashira. You are 39. This is the treasurer's seat. You now manage the Kumi's central fund, receiving tribute from every cell below you, holding the reserve used for legal fees, bail, and support for the families of men serving time. This welfare function is one of the main reasons loyalty survives long prison sentences. A man who knows his family will be looked after serves his time quietly. You know everything before anyone tells you, because money reveals what people withhold. One cell's tribute has run 3% below its expected yield for 2 straight months, with a different excuse offered each time. Underperformance is irregular. Skimming is smooth. You build the file without confronting anyone until you're certain. By the early 2000s, cash from the mahjong parlor and the pachinko stakes is being moved into small property holding companies and, increasingly, into shell entities registered abroad, a pattern that mirrors how organized crime proceeds move through offshore financial centers across Asia in this period, ahead of Japan's later anti-money laundering reforms. You're now a financial architect as much as an enforcer, and you understand for the first time that being the man who knows everything makes you indispensable and quietly dangerous in the same breath. You begin varying your route home. This is not caution for its own sake. It is an accurate read of your position. Level 8. The Sohanbucho. You are 46. This is the headquarters chief, the administrative center of the entire organization, the office through which every major decision must pass before it becomes policy. You did not campaign for the seat. Men who campaign for it rarely receive it. Your Oyabun, a man named Ishikawa who has led this Kumi since 1988, elevated you because of how you manage the treasury, precisely, without drama, without once turning the information you held into personal leverage. Restraint with information is the highest credential this world offers. In 2011, a wave of prefectural Boryoku exclusion ordinances sweeps the country, making it a criminal offense for ordinary businesses to pay, rent to, or transact with known organization members. A law aimed not at the Yakuza directly, but at everyone around them, designed to starve the organization by making association itself the liability. Membership nationwide, which peaked decades earlier, begins falling by thousands of men a year. You advise Ishikawa to close 2 of the group's more visible fronts before the ordinance forces the issue publicly, and to quietly shift income toward arrangements that leave no exclusion ordinance footprint at all. He follows the advice exactly. The Kumi's public profile shrinks. Its actual revenue does not. He never mentions the conversation again. The following spring, he brings you into the inner council. Level 9, the wakagashira. You are 51. You are now the second in command of the entire Kumi, the man who runs daily operations, so the Oyabun himself never has to appear connected to anything that could be traced. In 2015, the Yamaguchi-gumi, the country's largest Yakuza organization, splits into 2 rival factions after internal disputes over leadership and revenue sharing. The most significant fracture in the modern Yakuza world, and one your own smaller Kumi watches with total attention, since a war between giants tends to flood downward onto everyone standing near the blast radius. You spend 8 months managing your organization's neutrality through the split, quietly assuring both factions that your Kumi's territory is not contested ground and has no interest in becoming any. It is delicate work, visible enough to be respected, invisible enough to avoid a target being placed on your back. By the time the dust settles, your Kumi's territory is untouched, and Ishikawa credits you publicly, in front of the inner council, for the first time in 18 years of service. Wearing a role you have not been given is treated in this world exactly as seriously as claiming a status you never earned. The credit given here means something because it is rare and because it is never given lightly. Level 10, the Kumicho. You are 55. Ishikawa dies quietly in 2019 of illness rather than violence, in a private hospital room with no cameras present, by the standards of men who have run organizations like this for 3 decades, as peaceful an exit as this world allows. You spend the following weeks watching who moves too quickly to claim the vacancy and who waits, because waiting correctly, not ambition, is how power has always actually transferred here. You were confirmed by the inner council within a month. Everyone already knew what you were. The Kumicho controls everything and touches almost nothing directly. You do not collect, you do not sit in on ordinary disputes. Your name does not appear on a single document connected to a single operation. You exist on paper as a retired construction consultant with no criminal record. In 2020, a younger boss under your command is arrested on an extortion charge tied to construction dispatch fraud. You have been tracking the investigation for months through channels of your own. What you had not anticipated was that he would, in his second round of questioning, offer two of his own men's names in exchange for a plea he should have known would never be honored as promised. You respond within a day. Their families receive support through the fund you once managed yourself. Lawyers appear for all three men before the week is out. His territory is reassigned before the month is out. He is released 2 years later and does not return to the organization. He understands why without being told. You have managed this the way you have managed every crisis for 4 decades, without visible reaction, with a patience that stopped being a strategy long ago and simply became who you are. But alone, in an apartment that is not in your name, you understand something the boy on the pachinko parlor corner in 1985 could never have understood. The higher you climb inside a structure built entirely on power, the less of your own life actually belongs to you. Every rank was a door that opened forward and sealed itself behind you. There is no retirement from this, only management of what comes next. You said yes to a folded newspaper on a spring evening in 1985, and every free choice you made after that quietly narrowed the choices available to the man sitting in this room tonight, until there is nothing left in front of him that feels like a choice at all. 31 men go to work tomorrow because you exist and because the structure still holds. Whether that is power or its opposite is a question you stopped asking a long time ago, because you already knew the answer.